Okay.
Okay, now we can start with Meet the Authors, and the first author that are going to talk about his book is Dr. Cole. When you want, you can start.
Okay. I will be reading from the poet Wept, and I want to take you through the preface first, since this is a reading, and the preface, a writer's lamentation. All prayers said and psalms read, spirits of long gone riders who fed our souls led us. It is time now for creators of images to depart into the universe of light, leaving their body of works behind. But just before they take their leave, may I? May I slip in a word or two for wandering souls who may come in contact with thoughts in rotten syntax, words without bite, unsweetened broth that critics have refused to taste. As we await the blessings from our prayers, let me confess that none of the words served within these colorful jackets were written in haste. Each recorded a slice of fate, a frame in a long sequence of events. The lens filtered out the physical violence and left within its covers flowers of hate that grew in love. Never mind. If you can't connect with the lightness in craft, maybe the labyrinth of contorted thoughts is art that receives your attention. I toyed with the idea of complexity, but twisted I became and had to return to the drivel that presents itself without shame. At the Criers Conference, we, the unread, unreviewed, sent words to the market. We created a stall of judgment for criers without towns, for dancers without gowns, for tons of unexamined thoughts, still battling to find the right borders of birth. The world is for all, and the center stage we're set to play into. But how do we prize the practice of town crying when gongs resound our mental constructions? Does the fun of the mental not become fundamental? Yeah, silence. Silence has become the shelter of trials. Friends no more stop by a stall to speak their minds. They have joined the company of those we seek to change. Let it be known that the message we bear must not burst our throats. Spirits uncontained handed our strength of voice to us. How hard it becomes when failure makes a visit and duty trails behind hidden lines begging for meaning. At the town crier conference, our new spokesperson bicycles our thoughts. The spokes are new, the seat well fixed, awaiting the silent reviewers that turn attention. Why will these critics ride only with the famous and articulate? We know it takes longer to penetrate the savannah of words with the dearth of a king's craftsman, where horses ride their owners and roads like rings go from nowhere to the center of your no. That is the preface, a writer's lamentation. And if you want me to continue, I could, or we're going to, Maria will read, or it's going to be.
Okay, we
I was
we
going to say, yeah, okay. Lily, you talk, you talk.
Yes. Now you spent your 5 minutes to talk about your book, and now is the turn to Maria to talk about her book. And after, we've got some question time to ask you whatever the people wants to ask you. Okay? Then it's Maria turn. Okay?
Okay. So here we go. Right. Hello, everyone. My book, I just finished a master's in business studies. And as part of one of my subjects, which is the managing skills and personal development, I was asked to do a project, and this project took a form of a book. Actually, this book is based on what I have already built on, because a few years ago I set up a company making my own produce, and I used to sell it all over Norfolk and Suffolk here in the UK. And now what I want to do is to build on that, and because of that reason I have come up with a book called the Sorcery book. Okay, this sorcery book is going to be only a few sources, like 7 sources that you can use in different ways. And the book is going to have one page in English and another page in Spanish. So what I want to do is to put the recipes in one page. So it has to be easy visually, and easy to cook as well. So it's only 3 steps cooking. The ingredients is going to be about 3-4 ingredients plus the salt and pepper, which is the normal. And that's how I'm gonna plan this out. And of course, these I've done because I just want people to be creative with it. So what happens is, when you teach, you give the basic ingredients, and then the pupil goes ahead and keeps on learning, and that's what I want to do with this book. So you've got basic recipes, so you can try them on, you can try it and see if it works for you, and then when you are confident that you can do it, then add your own ingredient, for example, and that's why I have built my book being only with 7 recipes as well. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, I can show you pictures of it. That's what I've got. I can show you pictures. Right, okay, so the actual, this is my logo, of course. I don't know if you can see it. That's my logo, right? Okay, and of course, this is the title of it as well, because it's going to be all handwritten as well. Okay, handwritten, and this is what the book is gonna look like. 1 page for the one language, and another page for the other language. So people can build on it. I mean, that's the purpose of this book. It's really a learning tool, and that's why I wanted to design this. And that's it, Lolly. Okay.
Oh, yes. Okay. It's okay. Now we have time to ask questions to the authors. If anybody wants to ask something, can hand up or open the microphone and ask to the author that they want to do it. Okay. Any question?
Okay.
May I suggest that before the questions, let me have a few more readings from the poetry, so that in case there's somebody who has a question, then,
Okay.
yes. So I'm reading because many of us have one kind of contact with colleges. There's a poem I have called The Grading Boat. The Grading Boat. And I'm sure many of you can relate to it. The grading boat goes from figures to a letter. The A grade is a dream. Both laggers and leaders want. The B is best for not cold, not warm. The C fits a sea of those who warm the seats. And the F for those whose brains are fuzzy and cannot take in fresh ideas. They are the ones who fill the grading boat with boats like those coming from war, the grading boat. And sometime in 2008, we had a dean and a president of our university, and they felt the best thing to do was to reduce the workforce. So we who were asked to go, of course, they looked at the African languages and felt, well, why do we have all these African languages? So they served some of us notice to go. We who were asked to go. The notice, like a deadly cargo, arrived with name and address intact. The facts well laid out like a clean sheet on the deathbed of an innocent soul. The message, though mixed, was not unclear. Parts now marked to the unemployment market, with or without tenured packets, and empty pockets filled with pictures of goodwill. How the wheel has turned, and upturning a promised future. Budget cut is a shortcut to shortchange migrant workers who labor to add new tongue to monolingual lips and lift the veil that covers unknown worlds beyond. Now, I know there's no cover for the dean in the marketplace of pain. When it rains pins and needles, all actions are covered in history. Since kings who turned the forest into cities will be remembered, we teachers of new words and phrases will not forget the king who turned our cities into frightening forests. We are sent to rest before our limbs are tired, told to tie our carry-all into hired U-hauls, as no all files register our divorce from the labor force. Those who market calculated pain for others exchange complimentary cards at posh restaurants. That was we who were asked to go. You need to also know the other side of it, how the pain was shared. Heavy was the load, we were told. Some will take the road of tears, and others given the cheers for winning and increasing good feelings. As for the coaches, I mean the football coaches, they are beyond reproach. And the sweepers too will not be swept away. The administrators won't see the weight of sack letters or taste the bitter poison. That poison a few teachers will carry along to their next posting. Teachers have been taught a pointed lesson. Carefully accept non-tenure jobs. It comes with abrasion to the soul, body, and mind. Now the pain has landed with force and no locks nor painkillers. What we feared most rocks our boat. In March, they may take the vote and more teachers may roast or get the toast. That was a season that marks the title of his poem, The Poet Wept. There were a series of incidences that led to that feeling. But I will tell you that it was not, this poem, this collection is not about sadness alone. There are moments that we just decide, okay, let's record history, or if not record history. When a president in this country took over, we felt, is this a new broom? And this is titled New Broom. Blessings. And may this new broom sweep up a boom. And may the womb of our collective expectation bring forth fruits. The loot of the locust years brought tears. Now it is time to tear the sheets of the past and part ways with the burning bush. Who heard, I am that I am, but thought, I ram that I am firm. He rammed into Iraq with a lack of vision. He was firm in his arrogance and total lack of elegance. The bush was burning, and we the people were hurting. Nothing could end the rot. Rioting was not our lot. We are that we are. The lie is in the air. Came down with a meltdown, and lives now drown in fear of loss. No gloss to cover the grime. No court will judge the crime. The cases are gone to Texas, where no text can rattle the cattle ranch owner. Leave your case to the owner of earth. Turn your wrath into pearls of laughs. Blessing, I say, bless him. Okay, that's there's nothing veiled in that. You almost can get who that is about. Let me do this last one and then we'll allow for questions and interaction. Living overseas, grieving overseas. I need to tell you my story. I did not come here to live overseas. I only came to see those who did. Movies I saw prior blowing the lead of life across the ocean, showing lives like Kurama waves, washed along when levees broke, unending heartbreak for those raped here from there. Their dads who came in giant ships filled with defiant souls and defiled beauties, promised bounties in a new world. I did not come here by sea, but as much links me to the sea that ate up bodies that never will be seen, eyes in the bellies of sharks, and dismembered arms resting on seabeds. Please, lend a voice to wish them rest. Living overseas, grieving overseas. Okay, so that's that. We can now, whatever we want to do. Okay. Yes, I think Eyitayo has a question here. You might want to ask it, as much as I know you not. Okay. Yeah. The question Dr. Eyitayo says is, I noticed that the title of your book, The Poet Wept, it's similar to another book by another Nigerian poet, Odutola, The Poet Lied. Henry Louis Gates Jr. has argued that signifying a repetition and recirculation of tropes from our African background as a truly African literary theory. So as to what extent were you influenced by your roots and other writers in Africa in writing work? Was there a deliberate attempt to signify Odia in your title? Okay, well, to understand The Poet Wept, there are three of them. The second one is the poet. Now, how do we get this one?
Push it closer to your screen.
We gotta. If I remove the background, I'm sure you would see that. No, all right. Okay. Okay. If you look at this one, this is the second one, The Poet Bled.
Well, okay.
This is the third one, The Poet Wept. Before this one, there was The Poet Fled. It is in that one that you'll be right to say that Odia was signified, because in it actually has a poem about the flutist is lost to London. You know, that was a time Odia himself was away. Most of the poets at that time had left the country when I was writing that. That was during the structural adjustment program. And for me, it was, how do you record a time like this? When I read history and I read about what the Western world did to Africans, the whole idea was that Africans were given mirrors, liquor, and for that they exchanged their people. But in our time, what is the Western world giving to us to leave home? I don't have an answer for it, but it's been something that has been on my mind, that it has to be recorded, that at certain point in our own generation as well, we left home. But in the preface, I had written something about the conditions of home, the difficulty that it was to survive at home, that made the best of us leave home. And I just wanted something documented to say, this was what I was thinking. So that if the other generation comes, they would say, did Kole leave home because, as at the time I wrote The Poets Fled, I had not left home. I was in Lagos attending ANA meetings at different places.
Anchoring other NTA shows and iSense shows. I'm just reminding you some of it.
I did all of that. I did anything. I was in Radio Lagos. I was in NTA. I was in LTV. I was just doing things. But I hadn't left home. But by the time I left, in fact, I was away when Ken Saro-Wiwa was killed. And this one here, The Poet Bled, is dedicated to Ken Saro-Wiwa. It was the time Ken and Kudi was murdered, Ken was hanged, and it was while I was in Nottingham visiting a friend, September 1998, that I wrote the preface to that. So at some point, yes, there are influences from the African situation, from the Nigerian situation, from the Lagos situation, and if Lagos is too broad, from the Surulere situation that I was experiencing. Because sometimes we use this totalizing spatial delimitations as if it is the Lagos, as if I understand the agegeness, the Ikoroduness of what Lagos is. I understand in Surulere, I understand the Koi, and these conditions filter into the kind of work that I do. So that, to an extent, is what it is. Could you ask your second question? COVID.
So we who are asked to go. So I was just saying that
Yes.
when I listened to you read that you wrote that before COVID, and you've also confirmed
Yes.
that. To what extent would you say COVID has affected the creative industry? You know, leading to the weeping of the poets, leading to the problems of the, I don't know if you know that you live in the US. For instance, NBC has pushed back all their new programs until November, which is strange. And what has happened is some good shows have been canceled. Some of my kids' best shows have been canceled simply because there's still so many productions that are yet to be aired. So that's just the effect. What was your mindset then? And would you say that mindset really gives credence to the poet as a seer kind of a thing? I think that's what I'm getting at with the question.
Okay, the truth of the matter is that these are two distinct situations. We were actually sacked. The university authority handed us a letter of sack. I was in the shopping mall. I was going to the shopping mall somewhere in Gainesville here when I picked up the phone, and the then chair of my department said, "Kole, you have an urgent letter." So I asked her what it was. She couldn't tell me. So I rushed back only to find out that I had been sacked. I had been told there was no more work. And in order to record that moment of what I felt about being sacked, I started the job in 2006. And by 2008, I was being asked to go. No, so that was what that was. But let me answer the other one, how COVID has affected creativity. In fact, what COVID has done, it has made more people creative. There is something called the COVID Museum. The COVID Museum has artworks and stuff. I have, there is a diary in South Africa called the COVID Diary. And I have a collection of poems that I have written about COVID. The one I like the most is the one in which I was asking, how did we get to Panikistan? Panikistan, after the word Pakistan. No, because America is in a state of panic. When COVID started, we were in a state of panic. So how did we get to Panikistan? So I've written a number of poems about that. So let me yield the floor to Maria. And you can ask Maria your question.
Right. My question was from Egi Tayo. Is that right? Yes. Hello.
Everybody just calls me Tayo, so that's why.
Tayo. Okay.
Good.
Tayo. Right. Okay.
Yeah, good.
So it was about creativity and academic writing and whether projects could help us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A synthesis, a blend of both, because that's what I see you doing when you were reading and talking about your work.
Yeah. Exactly. My course is based, there's a lot of case study as well. So the case study gives you the example, so you can work on from the example rather than the theory, and then you go separately into the theories and blend the two of them, and that's how we've done it. And this is the same thing. So they are trying to expand our creativity and then put it in an article. I mean, my article for this book is got about 20 pages. So, yeah, and it's just about talking about it without actually making it. So I haven't made it yet. Okay, so what I'm saying is that it is possible to give people a project, or for people to think on a project that they can develop, and then they can talk about it in an academic way as well. I think that is very useful, because you've got the practical part, and that way you understand what it is and you give it as an example, right? And then you've got the theories around it as well, which it helps with your academic writing, I suppose. So yes, so I would suggest to anyone to give students this kind of work, because it works really, really, really well.
Just a quick follow-up, and then I will yield the floor to anyone else who wants to ask a question. So do you think this will bridge the gap between what we do in the academia and what happens on the street, taking the gown to the town kind of thing? Because that's the problem with, especially with the current world leaders now. It's as if those in the academia tends to talk in an esoteric language nobody understands, do their own thing in their Ivy League, that are so unrelated to the real world. Prof just talked about being fired. That was one of the issues. So would you say this synthesis, this blend that you're preaching, will be able to help in, if for anything, make our work as academics easier to be understood by the layman on the street, thus bringing out more appreciation for what happens in the universities? Thank you.
Yeah. I think this would make more open for everybody else. It's like Lolly's book, right? Okay, so the Wagner in Madrid. Okay, so she started with a book, and she was just doing some research for herself, because she liked it and she enjoyed it, and she turned it into a book. But this book is actually for everyone. I know that it sounds quite academic as well, because she talks about academic things in her book, but the level, the way that she explains things makes it easy for everyone to understand what it is that she's trying to say with the book. And that's what I'm thinking we should actually aim for. Other people to understand, not just us academics, because what happens with academia is that only academics listen to academics, right? So what we want is to open all of these, that we all have, we all have loads to say. So open it up to other people, because I'll tell you what, they are interested, okay? People on the ground, people everywhere are interested in what academics are doing, but we have to make it easy for them to understand. And that's why my idea of this book came about as well, right? Because it was a way for people to look at something that it was one page long, okay? And then they can actually develop themselves with just one page. So we academics, we're going to have to be able to do this if we want other people, you know, to join in as well. Isn't that right, Lolly? Isn't that what you've done with your book?
Yes, I did it in my book in Wagner in Madrid. It's related to Richard Wagner, how people receive the music of Richard Wagner in Madrid. And I try to connect all the people to academic investigation. And I'm a music teacher in secondary school, and I try that everybody can know more about music, culture, and of course Wagner. And because of this, the language of my book is relatively simple to connect with all the people. And this is the objective, to connect as much as possible more people as to get to know my investigation.
But so one thing that I've learned from Lolly's book is that Richard Wagner was a great marketer.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he market his own. Now this has to do with business, and we're talking about music, right? But in his era, he was able to market his own music, right? He started a way of marketing things. Okay, and he's talking about music. He's just doing music, but what he was doing, he was marketing his own music. So now, this is so useful now. And that's what Lolly says in her book. Just one of the parts that it says, right? And I found that incredible, because that is a lesson for anybody that has got a business, okay, and wants to promote their business. So you just go and see how Wagner did it, okay, and learn from it. So that's how all of these things, all of these cultural things, they blend in with the business as well. So that's why I'm so interested in, you know, following the culture and business world, actually. Yeah. So you think?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Oh.
The answers are they honestly they are both clear answers to what I think as well. I think that plays back to some of the things Kole was talking about earlier. You know, the fact that when people don't understand what you do, you easily become the first cut. And already, you know, they are saying, aren't academics just people who sit down and talk about nonsense all day long? The academics talk to academics, right? They talk to each other and the world doesn't know what they're talking about. And so each successive administration, be it anywhere in any place in the world, thinks the funding to universities can be the first thing to be cut. So yeah, I agree with everything you both have said. Thank you very much.
Are you an academic, Tayo? Are you teaching, or are you?
Yes, I'm an assistant professor at Trent University.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay.
Trent, UK, or
No. Trent, Canada.
Trent, Canada. Okay. Trent, New Jersey.
I think the Trent UK is it Nottingham Trent? It's not Trent on its own.
Yeah. I just wanted to be clear because I was thinking of Nottingham actually.
Oh, okay. No. This is Trent University in Peterborough. Although we have a thriving campus in a city called Oshawa outside Toronto. But I'm based on the main campus in Peterborough.
Yeah. And I mean, Peterborough is in the UK too.
Okay, see,
That's where the confusion came from.
So there's another Peterborough in the UK. So yeah, I seem to be. You live in Peterborough.
Near Peterborough.
Okay, so
I live
in Peterborough.
Right.
In the UK, right?
So you're
okay. I'm actually in the UK, in Surrey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you in Surrey? Oh my God, you're in Surrey. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And what do you do? What do you teach there, or?
I'm not an academic. I'm more in consulting.
Oh,
more
right.
Consulting and software. But I
software.
teach, I run training programs, but they're mostly like for people working, professionals. And
that's academic in
right.
nature.
Okay.
When somebody with a PhD in artificial intelligence says that he's just in consulting,
My God.
he has a PhD in artificial intelligence, so he does a lot of software development and stuff.
Wow, this is AI, isn't it? I mean, is that what you're working? What's his name?
Where
is he?
Yes.
Valley. Okay. My God. It's amazing what you do. I mean, I don't know why do you don't shout it out of the rooftops, right? Because it's very interesting what you do. Anyway, so have we finished with the questions? Can I ask something to Kole?
Yes.
No.
No. Oh.
Yes. Yes, but maybe Maria Lourdes can want to say something.
Okay.
Oh. If she wants to say something, she can do it too, because she wrote about women in Wagnerian music, and she says something. Maybe she wants to say something or not. Maria Lourdes, do you want to say something? Oh. I don't know.
Okay, I was sorry because I have to silence my microphone. Well, anyway, I would like to thank all the participants here for their fine job here.
Oh. So, do you want to? What was your question, Maria Lourdes?
Well, my question in fact was that, it's been quite a fine approach to both yours. So in order to mix up both creativity and, I mean, how could I say, your business approach, and also for your those who have read here poetry, I mean, Professor, I think it was Kole, perhaps, for their interesting approach to African matters, from a literary, I mean, artistic point of view.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have a question for Kole?
Well, I don't have any particular questions about it. Okay.
All right. Great. Okay. So, Dr. Kole, I just wanted to ask you something. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So So what you've got there is a book of poems, isn't it? Right?
Yes,
Okay. So
correct.
are you an African and a specialist in African languages?
I teach one of the 3,000 African languages that are available. I teach just one of them.
Oh,
I
okay.
teach one. There are thousands of African languages, and I teach a class on African experience, where we look at the African continent from different themes and different perspectives. That I do currently. I teach that.
Wow.
We look at Malawi, we look at South Africa, we look at Libya, we look at Nigeria, Ghana. We look at the different countries, not just Africa as the continent. No, it's not a country, like we always remind the students. There are many languages on the African continent, and there are many cultures as well. So yeah, that's what I do.
That's what I was going to get to, actually, to the cultural aspect, because being so many languages, you said that there's loads of cultures, okay? So how would you define then the African culture? Can you define the African culture, or not really?
Late Professor Ali Mazuri makes that very, very easy in terms of how our geography influences our culture. And I can give you a very quick, easy answer to that. And there are many other ways in which other people can look at it. There's something called ethnomusicology, or eco-ethnomusicology. How the ecology in the different parts of the continent and in different parts of the world as well can be held accountable for the kind of music that is produced in that part of the world. So there's something about geography and the culture of a people, the kind of crops and the kind of things that grow there would also determine the kind of deities that they form from themselves. What they offer the deities. If you don't have palm trees and you can get palm wine, you cannot have a deity that you will give palm wine to, or a deity that you will give palm oil to when you don't have palm trees. So there is something about geography that determines the kind of deity, spirituality that people have. So in the case of eco-ethnomusicology, you will find out that in the northern part of Africa, which is, you hear things like the Arabophone, the Arabic culture determines a lot of things that happen in that part of the world. The kind of music is such that is influenced by the wind. The repetitiveness of the wind will be what it influences. And when you come to places in the coastal region where you have the waters, the splashing of the water also determines the kind of music that you get in places like that. And because they're in the forest region, they have wood, and they can create xylophones. They can even create the frame of drums, and the animals that come or that they have domesticated will form the skin of the drums. And even in their songs, you will begin to hear the influence of the environment. So the African, when you look at the African, usually I tell students that in Europe, the stick or the thin or the slim woman is what is beauty, or regarded as beautiful. Most African countries, and please underline most African countries, it is a woman that is voluminous, that is roomy, that is first seen as beautiful. But it is not just because of her body, it's because the clothing, the dressing, you know, a slim and a stick woman will look very, very scrawny in that kind of dress. You won't fit, you have to feel the dress. And I mean FILL. You have to be in it. And the dances too. The dances, the women that actually can do the dance are those that have the parts of the body. You know, there's no way I can be dramatic about this. You know, when a slim woman wants to do the dance, you will mostly not see her. The syncopation, the different kinds of beats that needs that the backside is jiggling and the front would just not be there. And what attractiveness would you get from a woman who looks like she didn't have a dinner last night? To us is that your husband is not taking care of you. That is why you look like a stick woman. So beauty is not universal. And we found out that in most, and I say most, I don't say all, in most of the countries on the African continent, that is it. And Ali Mazuri also says that the question of aesthetics came or cosmetics came before aesthetics, that Africans started to draw on themselves first before they started to draw on the rocks. You know, so the question of the representation of beauty was first seen in an organic form in the person, and they admired it. And that's where you see all of the body lacerations, you see the what you now call tattoos and the rest. It is that when all the clothing are off, the body of the woman or the man still has some kind of etching of beauty, even without lights that you can feel. And so there might not be a general thing to say for all Africans. And in the part of the world that I come from, the Yoruba people, we believe in the concentric or the trinity of the living, the dead, and the unborn. This is an unbroken cord between the three. In Europe, when a person is dead, the only time is during the remembrance or the memorialization. But for the Yoruba people in southwest Nigeria, the living, some don't even bury their dead in the graveyard. They bury the dead right in front of the house. So when there is a dispute, you go right there and argue it out. And I cannot see a Yoruba person who would lie in the presence of a dead person. Your head would swell and would almost burst. And the women, before they go to sleep, they always make sure they leave the plates with food in their kitchen. It's not because they're lazy. It is because of the spirit of the unborn children. When they pass by, they can actually notice that there is some food here. Also, I would not starve when I come to this household. So these are some of the things that determine for us the perspective, the philosophy of life. When we look at death, when we look at fear, we look at issues like love. For instance, the Yoruba culture in the language does not have a verb for love. It's a noun. In English, you can say, I love you, and just say it. But in Yoruba, you must know what you have. I have your love in my heart is the way we say, I love you. I have your love in my heart. We don't go around saying, I, verb, love you. We can't say it in Yoruba. So and I can go right round. They will tell you in all of these other linguistic situations and terrains on the continent, it is very different from the Western. it is very different. Or even in medicine, where we use herbal medicine. In Western medicine, when you're sick, they would send a poison after the pathogen to kill what is making you sick. In the Yoruba pharmacopoeia, you instead make the body, strengthen the body to fight the pathogen. And so you don't have side effects. And you take it from the trees and stuff. That is a fundamental difference in terms of the healing process between the Yoruba in the Southwest and in most. And you don't want me to talk about geomancy. Geomancy is all around where we throw things and we try to consult, the past and the future. So the Western idea, or the reductionist idea of the West, is very different from the holistic. Sometimes when you're sick, I tell students, when an individual is sick, you don't just look at the individual, you look at the whole of the family. Sometimes it's the family that is sick that needs to be healed, but one person in the family is manifesting it. So these are just some of the things. I see that we have less than 2 minutes.
Well,
okay. We have 1 minute to the end of the time. I want to say thank you everybody for coming to this meeting, especially to Dr. Kole and Maria Castellon. And I hope to see you in the next meetings that we will do. And thank you everybody for coming. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much
Can
for having us.
Can I just say that I would love to have another conversation, in the future with all of you again, right? Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye. Nice meeting you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.